Welcome into episode 4 of Going the JC Route podcast. This is your host, JC. I'm back with the boys, AJ Brock and the Birdman. This week on the channel, I think the only thing we've got to do is preview Red River as the resident Oklahoma grad, and we've got the Texas fan here. That's what we're going to do. But first, we're going to talk about the Cowboys, and we're going to go around the country in college football. So, without further ado, how about them Cowboys?
Yes, sir. How about them Cowboys? They showed up again. Outside of the Eagles being undefeated, my man Cooper Rush is also undefeated. Keep it rolling. Chris, what did you think?
I mean, I thought they played very good. That's
a great
promotes
start.
the Commanders. The Commanders are they're a really good team. Like besides really the quarterback, that's a really solid team. I mean, they had Chase Young that was out for the defense, but they found a way to get the win. It was not pretty. I'll say that. I don't think it was as pretty as the score looked, because there were times when they looked like they were struggling on offense, but they found a way to win. And yeah, Cooper Rush has been playing good football.
So it sounds like from what you're talking about, it sounds like we're playing with a backup quarterback in there.
But the backup quarterback's winning.
That's fair.
I mean, he's doing. Look, here's the thing. Like, I don't think there is everybody's talking about. Oh, there's a quarterback controversy. There's if he keeps doing this, there will be. But the thing is that the teams that he's beaten, and he's won 4 games in the NFL. He's still won those games. But the fact is that those teams that he's beaten aren't measuring sticks. Those are teams that are just in the NFL.
Well,
No.
I can see it both ways, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but if we go back through the teams, right? So you had Minnesota last year, right? Where'd they end up? They ended up just out of the playoffs, right? They're like the 8th seed or something like that.
And Kirk Cousins is garbage in prime time.
Right. So they're mid. Okay. But then this year you beat the Bengals, so they just came off a Super Bowl.
Well, okay. On top of that, okay, if we talk about
right, they just came off a Super Bowl, right? Yes. Then from there they beat. Who was after that? I don't even remember.
Then after the Bengals,
they beat the Giants, and then they beat the Commanders.
Okay, the Giants and
then they beat the Commanders.
That's not. I'll agree with you there. That's nothing to bat your eyes at. But I mean, I wouldn't say the Bengals are mid. And I'd argue that.
Here's the thing. Right. Here's the thing with the Bengals. At the time that they were playing the Bengals offensive line, I think it's better. But he was getting hit. How many times did he get sacked before that game? He was getting hit all over.
It was 8 or 9 in the Cowboys game.
Yeah, so and the defense is good, but if you don't have a good offense, I don't care how good your defense is. You're just not going to be able to, put up points. And I think now the Bengals are starting to figure it out offensively and with that offensive line, and they're slowly starting to come together.
I still would disagree with saying that the Bengals are a mid team with this season that they.
I never said they were a mid team,
but
I never said they're a mid team. I said what you had with the Bengals is you had a team that was trying to figure itself out, because that offensive line, there's a lot of new guys in that offensive line, so they had to figure out each other. And with that, he was getting hit a lot. He was still getting hit. That was a good team that made it to the Super Bowl. Any team that has ever made it to the Super Bowl is good. But the thing is, they still have a lot of stuff to figure out, and I think slowly they're starting to figure it out.
But they still have Joe Burrow. They still have Mixon. They still got Jamar Chase. That defense of theirs is still the same. So I mean, I'm not going to just
true.
Yeah.
But if you can't get your quarterback enough time to get your weapons the ball, then it's not going to matter. And I think that was the funniest discussion I've had about the Bengals this year. Was they completely rebuilt their offensive line. I think they only had one returning starter on the line.
Only one.
But
because the offensive line was garbage last year.
Yeah. But early on, it looked like they got worse. I think it's turning out that that's just trying to gel
but
and get together.
I don't know if they got worse. I don't know if they got worse. It was just like you're looking at the Bengals and you're like, you did all that on the offensive line, and I don't know why we're talking about the Bengals. This isn't a Bengals
and that's
show,
what that's what I'm saying though, right? Like early on, it looked like they were worse, but I think it was just them getting used to playing with each other in game reps more than anything. Now that we've talked about the Bengals for 5 minutes,
exactly
like, what have we done?
So Cooper Rush beat the Bengals, but
so back to the Cowboys.
But the game was great. I was there. The Commanders looked really nice in those jerseys, just to lose to Cooper Rush.
I'll be honest. If they took the bars off of the name on the back of their jersey, the jerseys are not that bad.
No, the jerseys are pretty cool. But man, you can look good, but oh my gosh. How do I word it nicely and PG? Carson Wentz looked like he was about to take a number 2 on the field every time he snapped the ball. I'll put it that way, because that offense, you want to talk about offensive lines, that offensive line for the Commanders cannot block a Walmart paper bag floating in the air.
Just another instance of I don't want to say dominant, but an elite front seven taking advantage of a subpar offensive line.
Right. And that to be said, that front seven only got to him twice. But as a team, the offense struggled a little bit. They were playing conservatively, but that typically happens when you're playing a division opponent. It starts off kind of slow. But there's still improvement. There's still improvement. That team is improving. Only 4 penalties all game, which was great to me coming off of a Cowboys team that led the league in penalties last year.
I think that was the biggest improvement. I think that was the biggest takeaway from that game this weekend. Not that the defense was really good, not that the offense was manageable. It was the Cowboys kept the refs flag in their pocket.
They did.
And
if you want to.
And now that we've had 3 seconds of dead air, like I said, I think that was the biggest takeaway. Just there was no reason for the flags to come out against the Cowboys this weekend.
Which
was
if you want to take that even further, the offense forced several penalties. There were several pass interferences on the secondary for the Commanders that they forced. I mean that. There was a couple balls to Gallup that they had to basically tackle him down. I don't know how many pass interferences there were, but there were quite a few pass interferences where they forced that defense to make plays that they didn't want to.
Talk about a welcome return.
Not only did they not, but not only did they force the penalties, but not only did they not get penalties, but they forced the penalties. And to your point, JC, yeah, it was a great return for him. He looked great, and it looks like a great another addition to that offense.
I think that was one of the biggest things was, well, one, Michael Gallup looked great in his return. But now that you've got him back, now you've got somebody that a known commodity that you've got to account for, which should get CD more looks.
Well, to that point, as much as I've been fairly critical of him, of CeeDee Lamb, and he's finally looked like a number 1 receiver yesterday. He was or Sunday. He was making great catches and first half he looked bad. I thought second half he looked much better.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I'd say after he had those couple drops, he kind of was like, all right, I gotta go do my thing, and he's looked unstoppable.
I think he
looked great.
I think after that pass, that drop where that long throw that Cooper Rush made to him, I think that was where he was like, you know what, I need to start making these catches, and he did. I mean, he made a great over the shoulder catch against the Giants, but we're not talking about them. But what did he have? Like 9 catches, 96 yards or something like that.
Yeah, and a touchdown catch for 30. A touchdown catch for 30 yards. He's looking good. My fantasy team
thanked him.
I'm not going to get too ahead of myself, but because one thing about the Cowboys is that they're really good against teams that they're familiar with, and then they're not as good against teams that they aren't. So,
Micah Parsons has not lost to the NFC East. That's a fact.
Nor is Cooper Rush. Nor has
Again,
Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush hasn't lost to anybody when he starts.
That's true. No, keep it going.
Let's see what he does Sunday.
And it's not Cooper Rush.
Is it
Cooper
confirmed that he's playing this weekend?
He's going to play. Jerry Jones said that after today, Dak is still not gripping the ball as well.
So here's my question for you then, because I've got my thoughts on it, but it's so if Dak isn't starting this weekend, are the Cowboys going to throw him in next week against the Eagles?
No.
Because that's my thought.
I think that's the plan. I think that's what the plan is going to be. And whether you want it to or not, Aiden, eventually he will start to come back.
Well, see, here's my thing. Here's my thing, right?
AJ.
He's going to come back at some point. But my thing is, I don't want to see him come back and immediately have to go against like this, if not the best, the second best front seven in the league, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to bring him,
two things.
I was going to say, my thought is, if you're going to bring him back this week so he can get some reps, and then he's ready for the Eagles. Yeah. But if you're not going to play him this week, don't bring him back until after the Eagles game. Because you know who we have after the Eagles, right? The Lions.
The number one scoring offense in the league and the worst defense in the league.
Right. So what a better time to bring him back.
I think two things with the Cooper Rush situation. I think one, it buys you a lot more time to allow Dak Prescott to get healthy and return. And then the second thing it does is that if he comes back and he looks as bad as he did against Tampa Bay, you feel more comfortable with, okay, he's not it, and then you just replace him with Cooper Rush.
You could. One thing. Going back to the game, though, this past weekend, I wish the one question mark with our defense is, can we stop the run? Because in the second half, they looked like they made adjustments to stop the run a lot better than they did in the first half. But giving them an average of over 5 yards a carry on the ground is not great. So, but like I said, they did make that adjustment in the second half. But, all in all, to be said, they got the W. I don't care how you win. It's the NFL. A win is a win is a win. So they keep winning, and Cooper Clutch is doing his thing.
Well, when's the next time you play a team with a solid running game? Like the Rams' offensive line is
probably
not
the
great.
Lions.
I mean, it's young.
The Lions
with a health, assuming DeAndre.
But isn't Jamal Williams out? Isn't there other running back out?
Jamal Williams is in. DeAndre Swift is hurt. That's what I'm saying. Assuming he's healthy, they're going to be their next biggest run game challenge.
And keep in mind, the Commanders did this. They ran the ball really well with a very, very subpar offensive line. So with a good offensive line and a pretty good running game, I don't feel great. But overall, I'm feeling as a whole.
I think one of the biggest
this team
takeaways on defense, because we knew the front seven's good. They've looked good all year except game one. The secondary took a step forward this week.
It did.
The secondary has been
Trayvon with another pick.
Good. I mean, Donovan Wilson's
the thing is, they've been
Donovan
good.
Wilson's making all sorts of tackles.
And
they've been good, but I noticed small changes in the secondary this week. That's like Trayvon Diggs playing the ball defensively instead of just going all or nothing interceptions. Like the last play of the game, he batted the ball away instead of trying to pick it off. And you see guys turning their head and finding the ball. You see the guys not holding or PI. It looked really, really good.
He leads Trayvon Diggs, that is, leads the league in batted balls right now. He leads the league.
Deron Bland's looked really good.
Bland, yeah. The rookie Bland has looked good.
Hello, rookie. Welcome to the league.
And then Donovan Wilson's looked incredible. I mean, he as soon as Donovan Wilson latches onto you, you're going down almost immediately. And then you got Malik Hooker. I mean, the secondary looks. I mean, that defense is. I'd like to see them play an actual really good offense because I don't think they have yet. But like, they have. That defense is solid.
I'll say the Eagles, but I'll say they got to warm up with the Bengals. But all in all, all in all, this team from the start of week 1, each week has improved, and that's what I really like. So it's improving and it's working. And James, to your point earlier, when back at the NFL draft, when we drafted Tyler Smith, we all were like, "Who? What?" And you said,
"Don't tell me I said who. I knew exactly who it was."
Well, hold on. Bear with me. You said the last time we said who was when we got Travis Frederick, and so far Tyler Smith is looking really good. He had an interesting start to the game against the Giants, but it's his first road game. Give him a pass. All in all, Tyler Smith is doing his job. Tyler Smith looks good. So
he's gotten better every week.
Well, let's do it.
It also helps when you got Jason Peters next to him.
Mm-hmm. Jason freaking Peters, man.
I mean,
you got a tough pass rusher coming this Sunday. And he doesn't play on that side of the ball, but
the coaching staff, I heard this on the radio, and I happen to agree with it. Ever since week 1, when we thought it was doomsday and season's done, everything is, the inevitable is going to happen, like the demise is upon us. Mike McCarthy actually in a postgame said, like, we're going to, get it together, regroup. And Mike McCarthy as a coach, I agree with 105.3 The Fan. They said that he actually looks like he's taken an interest in coaching again. And I would happen to agree with that as well, because this staff has actually managed the team really well. Thoughts and opinions?
I had one. I forgot what it was. JC?
Mike McCarthy, huh?
He looks like he has taken an interest again, and he actually cares. I mean, who am I to say he never cares?
I'll say this.
Hold on. Kellen Moore, even though I've got, own thoughts and opinions on Kellen Moore, actually look like they're taking an interest and they're managing the team properly. Now, rotating Zeke and Pollard, making adjustments on offense. Dan Quinn making adjustments on the defense. Example, better run defense in the second half. It's just all gelling finally. So we'll see.
Yeah. We've got a long way to go.
It was that. Look, yeah, you can't just base that off of one game. They had a really good game, low penalties, but that was one game out of how many? And on top of that, here's one thing I've noticed. Here's another thing I've noticed. We've looked really good in the first half of the seasons. Of the last 2 to 3 seasons, we've looked fairly decent. And then we hit the halfway point of the season, and then we're just like,
one more time.
So, nope, I'm not doing that again. But if they're, hopefully they can consistently can continue to get better, and if they play the better teams. Honestly, this is a fairly easy schedule. I don't know if there's any team that really stands out as besides maybe the Eagles.
Well, and that's the conversation we've had. Our schedule gets easier. We're supposed to.
Like even the hardest, like even the Packers game, like with Aaron Rodgers kind of aging, like you don't know what you're getting with that.
I mean, A-Rod's still A-Rod. He just has nobody to throw the ball to. I mean, his leading receiver is Romeo
maybe
Dobbs.
Stop.
Like who?
Or maybe stop. Maybe take some pay cuts to get some better players. But
stop smoking weed.
You might have said. Jeez.
Man.
I didn't say that.
Yeah.
Who said that?
Yeah, you. Huh?
I didn't say that. Who said that?
Do you have ghosts? You've got ghosts in your house. Yeah, like besides really the Packers, like who else is on your schedule, and the Eagles, that's like really gives you a problem. I mean, the Titans with if Derrick Henry is healthy, but like they don't have a great quarterback.
Let's see.
The Lions
so the rest
with the
of the way
offense.
With the worst defense in the entire NFL.
Okay, so the rest of the way
playing one of the best defenses.
Okay. So the rest of the way we've got Rams, Eagles, Lions, Bears. And then a bye.
Rams, Eagles, Lions,
Bears.
You should be at the very worst. You should be. I'd say you're 3-1 because the Rams did not look good. What was it yesterday? They looked not good.
They just
Granted,
scored
that was
touchdown.
an away
What
game.
the hell?
Granted, that was an away game, and I did pick. I think the Niners looked amazing, and I think I said at the beginning of the season, but I'll say it again: they're going to the Super Bowl.
So after the bye, we come back at Green Bay, at Minnesota. Those are 2 games back to back. I just don't like.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean we'll lose them. I just don't like them. But then we close the season with Giants, Colts, Texans, Jaguars, Eagles, Titans, Commanders. All of those games,
the Commanders
are winnable.
The Commanders are. Yeah, I think. Well, the Eagles, they come here, so we'll be favoring that one.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on how the season goes, but
the only undefeated team.
Yeah, there's no.
Fly Eagles fly. What?
Hey, Cooper Rush is undefeated too.
Okay.
And Cooper Rush, by the way, has not thrown a pick this season yet.
Oh.
I mean, he's. I guess
he threw 2. He didn't technically, but he threw 2 picks this past week, but they both got negated because of penalties by the Commanders.
Negated? What was the penalty that happened with the? What were the penalties?
Because
I thought one of them was a penalty against us.
Illegal contact and then holding.
That's okay. Yeah.
So there you go.
Well,
so we'll see how they do against the Rams.
I think it pretty sums it up. We're feeling pretty good about the Cowboys. I never like to get ahead of myself with the Cowboys because it's the Cowboys. But so far, we're pretty content. To suffice to say, we're pretty content with what we've seen so far.
Stephen A. Smith said it best. You know what comes with it now? Expectations. And every time you expect something from the Cowboys, they screw up.
Real quick though, are they going to beat the Rams this weekend?
Yes, they will. Cooper Rush, 5-0.
That's it. That game's in LA.
I believe
I think we do.
Where they have a subpar fan base.
There'll probably be more Cowboys fans there than Rams fans.
Yeah, that.
You know what? Yeah, I think we will. I mean, like I said, they did not look good against the Niners. Granted, I think the Niners are really good, but their offensive line still has got a lot of things to figure out. Stafford only likes throwing to white people. And then
that man Cooper Kupp is cold.
And then Tyler Higbee.
Ben Skoranek.
And then yes. Who's Allen Robinson? But
that's why Robert Woods left.
It is.
Hey, we need Jeff Heath back so he can throw to him.
Yeah.
Maybe he could throw to Van Der Esch.
Oh yeah.
But I think I like that I don't think the Rams are that as good. Maybe they'll figure out some point. But I'd like us to beat the Rams on Sunday.
All right.
I'm not giving any score prediction because I don't like doing that.
Are going to be the lead into our game in 2 weeks. You boys excited?
2 weeks.
No, you're not.
You know what he's talking about? That I had to possibly go to the hospital because Aiden's mouth.
I missed something.
Definitely gonna end up in the back of a cab.
How did you miss something? What's in 2 weeks?
Oh! I heard the. Never mind. My bad. I heard something else.
Jeez.
Oh my god.
I'm a little slow, but no, we might.
The Rams are gonna be a good litmus test for our game in 2 weeks.
Oh, there we go.
We'll be there in person.
Yes, we will.
That game's gonna be
loud, and proud, and especially loud.
We're gonna have a lot of fun, but we'll talk a little bit more about that next week. For for now, let's go around college football a little bit. We had I think, to be concise, this week was interesting.
It was.
For multiple reasons. I've got a couple close. We've got a couple close to the heart that we'll touch on in a minute. But I think one of the most intriguing games going into the weekend was Ole Miss Kentucky. I mean, you've got Lane and you've got Mark Stoops, who I'm a big Mark Stoops guy. And
then what? Will Levis is supposed to be a top 5 pick in the draft.
Did you see his finger? The picture of his finger this weekend.
Mm-mm.
Oh yeah, wasn't it like
full dislocated his finger and it was sideways?
It didn't look like Tua's, did it? Is that too soon?
I'd say probably worse than when Tua did it to his finger.
Oh, I'd like to scream at the people who let him go in.
But I mean, that game was a lot of fun. It was closer than I thought it would be for a lot of the game.
Who did you think was going to win that?
I would have liked to see Kentucky win, but I was pretty sure Ole Miss.
So would I.
Ole Miss was going to pull it out. Their defense this year has been a little bit more consistent than last year, even though they don't have the top end offense. With Matt Corral leaving, they're running the ball incredibly well.
Yeah.
They ran it for almost 200 yards.
It was a very interesting finish. You had Kentucky driving, and then they managed to what looked like was going to be a game-winning score, and then it was called back because either was it a pass interference or a hold, and then the next snap the ball gets fumbled out of Levis' hands, and then they end up losing based off of that. But I don't know. I honestly didn't really know what to expect from that game. I didn't know how good Ole Miss was. Kentucky's 4-1, 5-1, or something.
They're 4-0. They're both 4-0. So now you've got 5-0 Ole Miss and 4-1 Kentucky.
Okay, so they were both 4-0 going into that game. I thought it was going to be a close game, but I thought it was going to be because Ole Miss just wasn't any that as good as last year. I'm a little slower to come up with those, Kentucky teams. I'm a little bit slower to get on that bandwagon on them being good or not. But they had a really good team, and they should have beaten Ole Miss and bought Hemingway.
I agree, but didn't happen. So, you see, there was another video that came out of that game, and it was all of the freaking pledges in the student section fighting.
Yes, a huge brawl, bro. That was a dog fight.
There's something about dudes in sport coats fighting at a football game that makes me giggle.
What made me giggle so much was that there was this. That they were just going at it, and then this blonde came up with a drink and food in her hand and just stood there just watching what the heck is going on? And she just casually walked away, and I was like, I hope her dude wasn't in there or something.
He might have, but
what was that even about? Did anything come from that? I
don't remember.
I saw a video of it, and I was like, that was a freaking fight in the stands. Everybody went at it.
Let me see.
Yeah, hold on. Ole Miss fight.
I thought we were talking about football.
Oh, it
looks like it was two. It looks like it was two different. It was two different frats fighting each other.
Yeah, I just Googled that.
They're fighting over who they're going to reserve seats for. Because you guys know what happens at football games, right? With pledges.
They're supposed to reserve the seats.
Yeah, they get them to dress up and whatever it is, make them all look the same, and then they've got to go reserve seats for everybody else. And if you encroach on the territory, they'll fight you.
Uh-huh.
Oh, so it's like gangland. Got it.
Pretty much.
It's so
it was all over Twitter.
That was really fun. But don't look now. But the U.S. is starting to take note of Lincoln Riley's habits. USC is pushing the boundary a little bit of losing to some bad teams.
Yeah, no, Arizona State hung in there this weekend when Pac-12 After Dark was a thing. USC ultimately, like, we knew that they were going to pull away.
The game kicked off at like 9:30 our time.
I watched it. They were going to pull away. I don't know.
You tell me, dude.
Yeah, I don't know what you do.
But that's the thing. So it was a close game last week against Oregon State. Oregon State is actually like halfway decent this year.
Yeah.
But Arizona State just fired their head coach.
Most of the Pac-12 is.
Yeah, Arizona State fired Herm Edwards, and I expected USC to
roll.
Roll right over them. But Arizona State hung in there. But towards like midway through the third quarter, Caleb Williams and Lincoln Riley and USC.
Caleb Williams still looks like Superman. But what I'm starting to realize,
look good.
But what I think the rest of the country is starting to realize is USC is getting these close games against mid teams, like middle of the pack teams. Like you start playing the better teams in the Pac-12, those games are going to get even closer or potentially lose. You know what their next two games are, right?
USC's?
They've got Washington State and they've got Utah.
That Utah game is going to be really good.
Well, so
where are they playing Utah at?
In Utah, at Utah.
Oh.
No. Hold on. Hold on. I'm pretty sure they're at Washington State, and then. Oh God, what is it? Don't make me look stupid. They've got Washington State in the Coliseum, then they're at Utah. That's what I thought.
Gotcha.
Well, the thing is, I think they're in a look-ahead spot because everybody's marked that Utah's game on the calendar all before the season started. But
they better be getting ready to play Washington State.
I say, don't look now. Washington State's a good team this year.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not careful, Cam Ward's going to throw for 400 and run for 150 on them, and they're going to be like, "Why are we losing at the beginning of the fourth quarter?" And it's because y'all weren't prepared.
Right. Leave it to Lincoln Riley.
We'll get Lincoln Riley's token loss to a mid team, and then they're gonna win it. They're winning the Pac-12. They're gonna get the 4th seed in the playoff, and then get tramped by Alabama.
Is that what you're hoping for, James?
Absolutely not. I'd rather not see him in the playoffs. But that's what happens every year. I watched it for 4 straight years at Oklahoma.
That's true.
Or three straight years, and then a Cotton Bowl win against Florida.
That's true.
But I mean, don't look now, but they're not looking too hot. I mean, they're still good. Caleb Williams is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. He's just not getting as much press because he's in the Pac-12.
Does he declare for the NFL draft at the end of the year?
He can't.
Oh, that's true. He's a sophomore.
He's a true sophomore. He's got one more year.
I thought he was
yeah, dummy. Stupid.
I'm sorry.
That's that Texas education. Oh wait.
Hey, we'll get there.
Hold on.
Wait a minute.
We'll get there.
Okay.
Wait,
Aggie.
are we all in
Aggie?
Freaking rednecks.
Aggie.
From Norman.
Aggie. Aggie.
Yep.
Who saw this coming?
Aggie.
Yeah.
Who saw this coming?
We all did.
I did. I mean, they haven't looked.
We all saw this coming.
Texas A&M hasn't looked good all year. They struggled against Sam Houston State. They struggled against Miami. Miami team, by the way, that got lost badly to who was it? Middle Tennessee State.
Middle Tennessee State. The Blue Raiders.
Arkansas should have beaten them. Like, their offense is not good. Arkansas's defense made them look way better than they should have, and they let them go in. They let them come back. But A&M is not a good football team offensively. Defensively, they got a really good defense. Offensively,
The thing that scares me.
That's garbage.
The thing that scares me, to your point, Chris, is this year they're garbage, but I fear next year they're going to be a lot better.
Here's the thing with teams that are that way though. Most teams like that are young, and that means that they're young and they're learning. So by the end of this year, theoretically, they should be able to learn how to win. But the fact is that they have looked like garbage throughout every game that they played, including Appalachian State. Like, I forgot about that game. Every game that they've played, they've looked bad. And, honestly, Arkansas wasn't even an improvement. They just found ways to beat us.
Yeah. And I want to add something. So Aggie had 3 penalties for 24 yards. I just found this. 3 penalties for 24 yards against Mississippi State. Mississippi State had 13 penalties.
And still beat the brakes off
138 yards. And Mississippi State still beat Aggie. Ow, wow, that hurt.
They beat the brakes off Aggie, too.
They did. It wasn't even close.
And now they get Bama.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they beat Bama.
In Tuscaloosa.
Because A&M is Bama's kryptonite.
I hope Bama just beats the brakes off of them and sends Aggie into oblivion, because I can't – the Aggie fans that are going to come out of all the little cracks in the freaking dirt, if they beat Bama, is going to piss me off.
Yeah.
Jimbo Fisher, here's the funniest thing to me. Oh, that is a key. That's a huge key to that game. That game coming up. But here's the thing. The Aggie fans are this close with Jimbo Fisher. Like being
done with him?
Oh yeah.
I feel. I mean, and the thing is that he just had a good recruiting class. So I feel like maybe you should be more patient. But the thing is that he's underachieved every year that he's been there.
So here's a funny stat. I think you guys will find this funny. After Aggie's loss this past weekend at Mississippi State, Jimbo Fisher officially has an identical record to this point in his Aggie tenure as Kevin Sumlin.
Really?
Ooh.
Identical. I think they're both. I think it's like 63 and 17 or something like that.
That's interesting, huh? And it's funny you say that, because James and Chris, to your point, I want to pinball off of it. I found an article somewhere that like boosters or someone involved with Aggie football was already looking at what the buyout is for Jimbo Fisher's contract.
It's one of those things to me, because like I said, they just had one of the best recruiting classes in the country. Like, it's almost one of those things where I feel like you give them more time, but like at the same time, like you can't almost lose to a Miami team that looked as bad as they did against Middle Tennessee State, and then lose to Appalachian State and look bad against Sam Houston. Like, you just can't do that. I mean, like I said, over time, you would think that recruiting class, those young kids that are there, will figure it out. But the thing is, I mean, honestly, it's not even defense. It's offense. That offense just can't figure it out unless you're playing us.
That's usually how that works, right? Teams are looking bad until they play your team or whoever's team it is, and then it's like all of a sudden they look great.
No, it's always, yeah, that's how it normally is. But his time is running out really quickly.
And that's the thing is, realistically, he had that number one class last year. You got to give him 2 years to at least get them in, get them growing, get them going. I don't think he's going to have that much time. I think they're going to start transferring out after the season because none of them are playing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. But the thing is that he hasn't been there for like that long. He has been there a lot longer than that. Normally you would give 2 to 3 years for a new coach, and maybe you would give him more leniency if they were, I don't know, maybe you lose to Appalachian State, you beat Michigan, you beat Mississippi State, you beat us. Maybe they'd give him more leniency, but like us, they just look bad, and unless unless Bryce Young comes back, that might be the only saving grace against Bama, because honestly. And we'll get to that later. Like, if Bryce Young stays in the game with Arkansas.
Real quick, though. Is Bryce Young going to play this week?
That's what I'm
I
trying to
don't.
figure out.
I don't know what his injury status is, but if he stays healthy in the Arkansas game, that score is way worse than what it looks like right now.
So
I don't.
Not that this matters. Paul Feinbaum weighed in
Bryce Young was
on the
making.
Bryce Young and
What did Paulie F say?
Paulie F said, and I quote, "It's a problem." He has an AC joint sprain. It affects his throw. He said, "I mean, Bryce," and I'm quoting, "Bryce Young's the best passer in the country. It's going to affect him." End quote. It says, "It won't matter this week. Again, Alabama is a 3.5 touchdown favorite over A&M, but next week it'll matter when Alabama goes to Knoxville."
Well, here's the thing: their upcoming schedule is not easy. I mean, A&M's probably a little bit easier because of how bad they've looked. But like I said, without Bryce Young, I think they look a lot more beatable. That team looks way more beatable. And then they play Tennessee in Knoxville, and then the week after that they play Mississippi State, and they play Mississippi State at home. But if you're not without Bryce Young, you're probably losing at least maybe the Tennessee game.
Yeah.
Because besides Will Anderson, that defense isn't as good as it's been in the past.
Yeah. Real quick, James, kind of backtracking here to the Mississippi State when you said you guys or dudes brawling in sport coats is funny. Some of these, I don't know if you read the comments on Twitter. Somebody was like, all their dads are lawyers, so I'm excited to see how this plays out. And somebody else put lawyers and doctors.
That's like half of frat guys anywhere.
Someone else tweeted, because it's the SEC. Someone tweeted, "It just means more."
Talk about it just means more. What the hell is Georgia doing?
Bro, 2 weeks in a row. And we're not talking. I would say it's. Where was I going with this? I would say USC is embarrassing, to almost lose to unranked teams, but I don't know. People might be figuring out Kirby and the Dogs.
Well, so they have a close call against Kent State. Don't get it twisted. Kent State is a good team.
Kent State is matched up well with the teams that they've played.
I mean, they only scored 3 against Oklahoma, but whatever.
But were they allowed 30?
What? Yeah, it was 33-30.
Were they allowed 30? I mean, that's still that. Whenever you consider who you're playing, and granted, Oklahoma's not as good as we thought we were. No offense, but
that's fair.
That's still respectable. I think.
Yeah.
Maybe not as much as it was at
that
time.
They looked serviceable against Washington. They held Oklahoma to 33, and then they sure as shit scared the hell out of Georgia, and then only for Georgia to roll off of that and damn near lose to, if not Vanderbilt, the worst team in the SEC. And Eli Drinkwitz.
Well, Auburn's also there.
Just Eli Drinkwitz is the best.
Also, here's the thing. I think language. I think
that's fine.
That
he deserves it.
Everybody's due. I mean, it is interesting that they looked as bad as they've done the last 2 weeks. But I don't think that's the trend. I mean, the way they looked against Oregon Oregon's a very solid team in the Pac-12. They made them look like a Division III school. And then but on top of that, I mean, if they lose the next 2 games, then there's issues. They have Auburn coming up at home, and then they play Vanderbilt.
Okay.
They should be if they struggle on those 2 games, then you're just like, okay, what's going on with Georgia? Because after that they play Florida, and then Georgia, and then Mississippi State, Kentucky, and Georgia.
But I imagine they'll keep I imagine Auburn will keep it close for about a half, and Georgia will pull away. Vandy's Vandy. They look better this year, but it's still Vandy.
Yeah.
But you're talking about you've got Florida coming up. They're not great this year, but that's that rivalry game. Kind of like
they have a great quarterback. They have a great
Anthony
quarterback.
Richardson wants to be great sometimes, but he's a little inconsistent on the other end.
Inconsistent. I'll say inconsistent.
And then they still got to play Tennessee, right?
Yes, they do. But they play them at home.
Even
and then
they
play Mississippi State on the road, and then they play Kentucky at home or on the road.
So I'm saying you've got to go to Starkville. That's not a fun place to play. You've got Tennessee is not a fun team to play this year, even though you got them at home. And then Kentucky's not a pushover this year.
No, they are not. That SCE looks difficult.
If I had to guess, they probably lose one of those games. I couldn't possibly guess which one, but I'd say the chances of dropping at least one game out of that set is pretty high.
I think the best bet to lose for them, just throwing darts at a wall right now, it would be Kentucky. Because that game is on the road, and that's the back end. That's the back end of that stretch right there with Florida, Tennessee, Mississippi State.
I agree to an extent, but I'd still buy Tennessee over Kentucky right now. Tennessee just looks like the more well-rounded team with a good offense.
Yep.
To beat them, I think the only negative to that would be playing in between the hedges.
So I agree, but
the only issue.
Sanford's never been a dominant home field, though. Nobody ever talks about Sanford like, oh, Athens is
but
a
it
horrible.
Can get loud.
I mean, sure, but nobody ever talks about Athens as like, oh, I'm afraid to go play at Georgia. Nobody ever talks like that, right? You hear about Georgia,
yeah, but the way that
Starkville stuff like that. Nobody ever talks about Sanford.
Yeah, I mean, but the way that game looks, you're gonna have two. If it stays that way, I mean, two teams that are undefeated and they're in the top 10 right now. If it stays the way it is right now, and that would be more than likely a game day game. And then I'd say that's number 2, and then Mississippi State would be number 3, huh?
Road trip
to Georgia.
Do we need to take the plane again, James?
Yeah, Aiden's gonna fly us. How much? Athens.
Okay, for that game, what are we just gonna fly over the stadium for 3 hours?
We'll sneak in.
And then I think Mississippi State is entirely based on how good their offense wants to be. Their offense is very consistent. Like it's like one game they want to show up, and then the next game they're just like, where is Mississippi State's offense? I cannot find them at all. So, whatever offense wants to show up. Hopefully, the offense that doesn't want to play shows up on Saturday.
Hopefully,
this Saturday, for my sake.
All right, Kansas. Are they officially a football school?
What the heck is going on in Kansas?
Hold on.
Who saw this coming?
They passed their first major test this weekend.
I'm gonna say no. Like, wait, what was the question again? Say it again.
I said, is Kansas officially a football school?
No, not yet. Not in my opinion.
Hold on, I can't hear you.
Is Kansas officially a football school?
Are you deaf? Are you stupid?
Hello? Do you need sign language?
It started to.
I heard you eat crayons. Is that true?
Huh? Yeah, I like the red one. one.
I don't think so. Not yet. I mean, sure they're 5-0, but it takes more than a 5-0 start to the season to say that you're a football school. And I got my money that they're. So I got my money that it ends this weekend. They're going to be 5-1.
TCU's going to do it to them?
TCU's going to do it. TCU right now TCU's favored right now by 7.
I don't care about the spread. Anyway, what were you saying?
Well, so here's the thing. Kansas passed their first major test this weekend. To this point, they've been able to use their offense. They've got the number 1 offense in the country this year, by the way. Keep that in mind. They've been able to use their offense.
Played well in that game, apparently.
That's what I'm saying. Going into Iowa State, they've used their offense to win every game pretty much. This weekend they relied on their defense to win the game. They didn't score a point in the second half, and they won 14-11.
I mean, when you allow 11 points against anybody, unless
fair,
you're the San Francisco 49ers and the Broncos, but besides that like when you allow 11 points, like that's pretty good.
To be fair, the poor bastard that is the Iowa State kicker missed 4 field goals in that game.
He pulled a Cody Parkey.
He did. No, he did. What's Green Bay's kicker?
Crosby.
Mason Crosby.
Yeah, he did a Mason Crosby. Even though he's a legendary kicker, he did that one time.
But still, you win that game on defense. And as much as it hurt me to watch TCU do what they did to Oklahoma this past weekend, they didn't do anything special. They kept it basic. They outmuscled us, whatever. But Kansas is that team that is playing discipline just like TCU. And I'll put, even though, you got Max Duggan, I think I'll still put my money on Jalen Daniels for now. Jalen Daniels is that dude.
James, can we make a friendly wager about that game? Let's make it look. So you got money on Daniels over Max Duggan.
Yeah.
We need to come up with something.
Says I don't know who's gonna win. I prefer Jalen Daniels to Max Duggan. I like TCU's weapons on wide receivers better. But I like Kansas's quarterback and running game better.
I can agree.
Plus, it's in Lawrence. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's in Lawrence.
It is in Lawrence,
and they're gonna sell that thing out. So, it's gonna be big time. I'll tell you what. If Kansas wins, I'll buy you a corn dog on Saturday. If TCU wins, you're buying me a corn dog.
3, like the video.
How about corn dog and a beer?
I'll take it.
I think to me, like, first off,
all right, deal.
Like for Kansas to be okay, for Kansas to be 5-0 right now after just decades of just a decade and a half of just being just putrid is incredible, and they've done a marvelous job in turning that program into what it is. Considering what happened with Les Miles, where I think some people might have thought that Les Miles could turn that program around, and then he ended up being doing what he did. With that said, the jury's still out on Kansas, on them being a football school. I mean, I think, I don't know if they lose to TCU, but they still got to play Baylor. They still got to play Oklahoma State. They still have to play Kansas State. And
that's the thing.
I don't know if the Big 12 is as good as it's. I don't know if the Big 12 is as good as it's been in the past.
I'll disagree with that. I think the Big 12
it's a little
just
worse.
as good as it's been in the past. My opinion.
I don't think the top end is as high, but you've got a lot more high. You've got more on the top end of the conference. You've got more deep competition.
But I think that benefits Kansas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, it does. Definitely benefits Kansas.
But not to discredit Kansas, because Kansas several years ago was losing to North Dakota, not North Dakota State, but losing to bad, not relevant schools. So in order to be able to get to where they can win, they had to be somewhere. But the fact is, to me, that top half that was really good has now sunk, which really benefits Kansas in them building that program up. I don't think it's as good as it's. I think if you played the better teams in other conferences, they would struggle. But being what they are right now, they've done a magnificent job.
Sure.
I'll tell you what, though. Lance Leipold might not be with Kansas next year.
I hope for
congratulations,
Kansas,
you're having a great season. We're going to buy your coach.
I hope for Kansas' sake and for his sake that he stays and turns that program into a respectable program.
Absolutely.
Because I like it whenever, and granted, I don't care about Kansas as much because their basketball program is great. So forget about their football program. Same thing with Kentucky. But like, when like I think it's cool whenever a coach stays somewhere and build like kind of Mark Stoops. He turned Kentucky into a winner.
It took him a couple years,
and,
but they're perennially competitive now.
Yeah, and he's been there for a decade. He's the guy behind Kentucky right now. Football, not basketball.
When was Kentucky's bottom? Was it 2012? 2011, maybe.
It was it was within the last. It was within the last decade.
So it's been it took them a while to be competitive, but they've gotten there now.
By the way,
they've won 3 or 4 bowls in a row now,
something like that.
But to your point, I mean,
have you heard which rumors are swarming around Leipold?
Wisconsin.
Well,
so that's where I was going to get to. Is early on you've heard the early rumors like Nebraska's asking, so and so's asking, whatever, and I'm like, none of those jobs are really intriguing.
A&M.
And then you've got no, but then the Wisconsin job comes open, and you're like, hold on, wait a minute, because where he really broke out as a coach, right? Wisconsin Whitewater.
Oh wait, no, I'm thinking about Auburn's coach. Why am I thinking about Auburn's coach?
Lance Leipold won 3 or 4 national championships in he was 3 or 4 within 4 or 5 years at Wisconsin Whitewater.
Is that the Division III school?
Yeah, and they're winning all those years consistently. That was Lance Leipold.
Yeah.
Then he went to Buffalo and started running a riot at Buffalo right away. Now he's at Kansas and he's going to turn him around in less than 2 years.
Auburn's going to also need to get a new coach pretty soon.
But that's the thing is, Lance Leipold's from Wisconsin. He got to start in Wisconsin. It makes sense. But that said, I think there's too much involved.
That would make the most sense.
I think Wisconsin fans love Jim Leonhard too much. Given he's going to be on a trial run the rest of the year, but I think they love him too much to not give him the starting job. Good old Wisconsin.
That's good.
Jump around a little bit more.
That's good for Kansas. But then Auburn's also going to need a coach here pretty soon.
Oh, what's his face? Brian Harsin. Oh, Brian Harsin. Go sleep with another girl.
No.
Oof. But that's enough. We'll see what Kansas does this weekend. You know who they got next week, right?
Kansas?
Yeah.
I just looked at the schedule.
Oklahoma.
In Norman, we're gonna get run amok on us in Norman. I'm excited.
Oh my gosh.
Oh geez.
I never thought the day would come that Kansas would do.
That's our homecoming game. We're gonna lose to Kansas at homecoming. What are we doing?
But the thing is, here's the thing. Here's the thing, and I've joked about this several times already. Before the season started, this wasn't a joke. That was literally a homecoming game because, in theory, that was supposed to be a blowout. But as it shows, Oklahoma's not any good right now, and Kansas looks like their basketball program right now. Oh, we'll get to that in a little bit, Aiden. Hold your horses.
Okay.
One last thing. We've got to talk about it. We've been waiting the whole time. We've been respectful on it. We've got to do it. Birdman, have the floor.
We watched it together.
I think the thing is, the score was 42 to 28 or something like that.
It was close
for
most of the game. A lot
worse. Well, here's the thing. It got close because Bryce Young goes out hurt. Bryce Young was giving us everything we didn't want. He was making plays. Honestly, he was looking like Patrick Mahomes on Sunday Night Football, making plays the way he did. And had it not been for that injury, I don't even think we would have had a shot to beat them. Because to me, if you're going to beat a Bryce Young-led Alabama team, you have to have offense. You have to be able to score with them. We weren't able to score with them until in the third quarter, or I think we might have scored late in the second quarter. But in the third quarter, you just couldn't make plays. And, honestly, I hope he's healthy. I don't want anything bad for it to happen to him, but being that he went out hurt, it benefited Arkansas, and we were able to at least make it interesting. And then fourth quarter came, and they decided we wake up and actually beat us again. But
Jalen Milroe decided to be that guy, and said, "Hey,
I'll say this from a positive though. At least we didn't roll over and just completely just take it. At least we showed some fight, regardless of how it happened. At least we showed some fight in that game, and we at least showed that we can at least make it a little intimidating."
So,
but
tell me about this. I've been hearing this thing about it was like near the end of the game, and Jaden Hazelwood could have easily gotten a first down, but didn't. What's this about?
I'll be straight up. I think at that point I was fed up with the game, and I didn't want to watch it, so I could not tell you what he was doing, why he did it, or whatever. But yeah.
All I know is a lot of people have Jaden Hazelwood's name in their mouth. And I don't like it because I like the guy, but then again, I didn't watch the game, so I can't speak on it.
Maybe I'll have to go back and rewatch what you're talking about if I can stomach it that long.
So for Arkansas,
but
though,
now we have to get back up. I mean, the easy answer is to get back to try. You have to get up and try and get ready to go play Mississippi State.
So
and like I said earlier, this weekend, right? Mississippi State's one of those teams that's very inconsistent, and that is the thing. That is another key, is that the inconsistency has come on the road as well. I mean, they did beat A&M, but you saw what they did against LSU. But my fear with this game coming up is that it's going to go the same way it did last year with Ole Miss. And ironically, that kickoff was at 11 o'clock the same day that the Red River shootout was. So my fear is that it's going to be another 50-point game, and it's going to come down to whoever has the ball last. And hopefully our defense can muster up enough of a stop to give us the ball and get us to win. But the thing is that defense, it's just bad at tackling. It's bad to tackles. It can't wrap up. I don't know if the teams that we're playing are putting like gel on themselves, but they just they slip out easily. And then our offense just it's kind of boring, I think. I mean,
you don't have that
I would like him
game breaker you've had the last couple of years.
We don't have a Treylon Burks. I think you have you if you use them right, you have some guys that can help you, but I just don't think they use them right. And
it's one of those things we talked about it with the Cowboys. You can have one star, but if you don't have somebody that can play complementary to them, it's not going to pay that many dividends. And
That's
it's
right.
like you've got KJ, who's a decent quarterback. You got Rocket Sanders, but you need a receiver to take that step up so that you can create space for KJ to run. You need to create space for Rocket to run. But if you don't have that plus receiver to do that, it's really difficult to create those opportunities. So that's what we're saying. We need Hazelwood or what's the
Landers
other Landers, right?
Landers or Trey Knox, our tight end.
We need one of them to say, "Hey, I'm going to be that guy."
I think Hazelwood at times, and I don't know what you're talking about with the play in the fourth quarter, but at times it looked like Hazelwood was making more plays in that game against Alabama. So hopefully Hazelwood's the kind of guy that can step up and be that kind of guy. And I think, if they use the receivers correctly, I think they have a trio with Hazelwood and Landers and Knox that can play complementary football. They just don't throw it to them that often, I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong. I have to look and see what they're getting, but but these next 2 weeks are fairly critical, I think. I mean, I think after the bye it gets a little bit easier, but I mean, you have to,
So
I feel like you have to win one of these games coming up.
So you're in Starkville and then in Provo, right?
Yep. And here's the other thing that makes it very difficult. And it's just the thing that you just said last week. We're coming off a very emotional loss against A&M. And then I don't know if it's that emotional, but the third quarter at least was emotional for Arkansas in the Alabama game. So now you have to play 2 games on the road in very hostile environments. And you have to go and try and find a way to get those victories.
Do they do it? Do they get those wins?
There's I'm going to say a very unconfident no, or unconfident yes.
They get the win in Starkville, and they get the win in Provo.
I don't think that defense can stop air raid hell.
But that air raid hell is inconsistent.
True,
but
that's true.
To your point, that's exactly the point you made, though. Is what offense is going to show up? Are they going to get the hell? Or are they going to get the baby farts? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, but that's very critical.
It is, but I think what has been consistent is the bad defense that Arkansas has shown. So an inconsistent offense or a consistently bad defense.
The back 4 has been bad. The front 7 has been moderately okay. And like if we can get a pass rush on them, make it uncomfortable, which they haven't, we can make it hard on them. But I'll get back to me on that. I have to think about that.
Sure. Now we'll get back to you on that. But James, now I got a question for you.
No, hold on. What were you saying before you?
The frustrations are mounting for multiple people. I think for Arkansas it's mounting pretty quickly because you guys expect to take another step this year, and it's not happening. Sounds like Aggie, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, I think we still have some time for that to happen.
Then again, you guys have won a natty since 1939 or whatever it is for Aggie.
Wait, who, us?
Yeah.
Last one we won was 1964. We're not the Aggies.
That's what I'm saying. You guys have won one since Aggie, so you don't have to worry about it.
Oh yeah. But here's the other thing with Arkansas. Like with A&M, they didn't go through like a 2-year period like we just did. Like 3-4 years ago. Like I don't know if people will remember that or forgot it or whatever, but 3 to 4 years ago, we were lucky to beat
North Texas? Oh wait.
We were lucky to beat North Texas. We were lucky to beat any of those teams that we played. If we played Cincinnati during those times, Cincinnati would have beaten us by 50. So, I think it's starting to feel that way, but the thing is that we're finally going somewhere. And the other thing, I saw this earlier this week. It took a lot of those great coaches that are there several years to win championships and to be where they're at. So, I would much rather them beat A&M and have a much better game against Alabama. But I think we're still in the right direction. As long as you're not, struggling to win 2 games, you're fine for me right now. Give it, 3, 4, 5 years from now, 3, 4 years from now, or let's say 1 to 2 years from now, you're still in that same area. Maybe we should start considering something else. But
is this KJ's last year?
As far as eligibility, I have to look, but I would assume that he's probably going to forgo this year and go.
I think it is. So that's one of those things where it's like, hey, you've got to figure everything else out this year so you can plug and play a quarterback next year. You're going to take a step back.
I mean,
yeah. But now we're getting way ahead of ourselves.
They will have,
yeah.
Yeah,
James.
let's go. I'm focused on what's happening this coming week. This coming weekend
it's
for Arkansas,
my favorite
and I
week
know
of the
you're
year.
about to
James,
focus
hold on.
it.
Before we do that,
It's my favorite week of the year.
I got a question for you. I got a question
go.
for you. What
I'm just going to sit back and let's go talk.
I got a text message about, hey, Ewers is coming back against OU and Red River. Good luck against our front seven. Don't lose to West Virginia. And what does OU do? How about that defense? From start to finish,
I'll see you later. I'm out.
Beautiful. What? Legitimate. My poking fun is over. But legitimate question.
If I talked about A&M Arkansas, you talk about what happened to Oklahoma.
What is going on with Oklahoma? Do you even know?
So I watched all of the game on my phone as I was at brunch with my family when it happened.
Do you have a lot of mimosas?
No, but I probably should have. I was watching the game, and I mean, it just started right away. They jumped on us 14-0 before we could blink, and it's just like, all right, it's gonna be one of those games, huh? The thing about it was, so it's one of those losses that if we would have just gotten blown out, it's one of those where it's like, well, that happened. Like, it's not fun. Like, it was bad. It was ugly. The fact that half our team is injured significantly, including our starting quarterback on top of it, that's what made that loss demoralizing. Good news is, reports so far is that he's practicing. That doesn't mean he's going to play this week, but he is like actively participating in practice. So that's a good thing. And I'm glad he's healthy. But from watching that game, there was a lot of blown assignments in the fact that the eyes were not where they needed to be. People are looking in the backfield, watching, like, looking for the quarterback run, watching a little crosser. Meanwhile, you've got dudes running by you down the field, open for touchdowns. It just looked bad. Like, you've got defenders out of position, and then they go, oh crap, I've got to go run this guy down. They take a bad angle. So not only are you out of position, you're taking a bad angle, and then you look slow as shit. Like, the talent at Oklahoma compared to the talent at TCU is incomparable. But you've got guys outrunning you. Right after we've got a whole new strength and conditioning program that put emphasis on speed and strength. And you've got TCU dudes outrunning you. Like, what's going on here? I was listening to Gabe Eichert and Teddy Lehman, their podcast the other day. And Teddy says a lot of the stuff is that he's seeing is fixable because it's all mental. It's either shifts are getting your read wrong, you're in the wrong gap, you take a bad angle, stuff like that. You can fix that. You can't fix size. Like, Jaden Davis got bullied by that receiver all game. That's not fun. But I mean, suffice it to say, I was really disappointed in that game because we didn't show any fight. Like, even after Gabriel went out, we saw like one drive of like, all right, we're gonna do this, and then nothing. Just laid over. Said, all right, they're gonna do this to us. I mean, if TCU didn't take their foot off the gas, they could have scored 70 or 80 easily. So, I mean, I don't really know what to say. My expectations going into this week are actually very low. I see that shit-eating grin on your face.
This is it. This is the week. This is the week. Well, my weekend was completely 180 from you, man. Texas finally looks like. I mean,
Yeah,
granted, it's against West Virginia, but who's arguably
they're the worst
team
in the Big 12
in the Big 12? Yeah, who's arguably going to be the worst team in the Big 12? But they
Here's
actually
the
look good. Hudson Card threw with a purpose. Bijan didn't fumble the ball. It was great, and the defense is looking a bit better. I wish that they get a little more disciplined and lower the penalties, but all in all, they're not looking too bad. But yet again, it is West Virginia, so we'll see what happens. And Ewers is supposed to come back, so we'll see what happens there. Which I'm on the fence about to see like who Sark puts in, because Card's actually looking pretty good, and Ewers is going to have some rust. So
I think Ewers is the guy. Ewers has to be the guy.
Sure.
That's who you start the season with. That's who you're going to rock with.
Man, we need to change the background too, by the way.
It's
do like
I'm gonna leave it there.
Do
Screw
like
you.
Do like Oklahoma did to Texas last year. Have a
let's talk about that.
We'll let Oklahoma do that again.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
So here's the thing. Quinn's your guy. It's obvious.
That Bevel coming.
You start the season with Quinn. You've got to rock with Quinn as soon as he's healthy. That said, you're going to bring him back in his third ever start to Red River, especially early in that game before shit hits the fan. Like, the energy in that stadium is going to be difficult for that guy. That said,
sure.
If we've got Davis Bevel starting, it's going to be the same shit for him because he's awful.
I saw, which, if I may, I did see today that I did read because I've been following this pretty religiously, because I want it to be a fair competition. You know, if we beat Oklahoma, I want it to be against Dylan Gabriel. But so I have been following it, and I did see that Brent Venables did say that there's still no update, and that OU is bringing 3 quarterbacks, Bevel, General Booty, and one other guy.
Nick Evers.
Nick Evers, thank you.
Our true freshman. Yeah.
Yes. By the way, best name in football, General Booty. So.
And so here's the thing. It's like I was saying, Dylan Gabriel, he practiced today. Don't know what capacity, but I know he practiced today. That doesn't mean anything for his availability. We probably won't know until the earliest tomorrow, which is Wednesday, but more likely Thursday or Friday as far as his availability goes. But I think I told you off camera, but without Dylan Gabriel, we honestly don't have a shot in this game. Like, Davis Bevel is not good. He's a statue. Yeah, he has size, and supposedly he can move, but he stood in the pocket and shit down his leg the entire TCU game.
Yeah, he did. By the way, side note.
No, I was saying one last thing as far as all you quarterbacks go. I understand you want to get Bevel reps and get him game experience, but the fact that they continued with him, even though he showed nothing, and there was a lack of a willingness to put somebody else in, that's alarming to me.
Sure. You want to, if something's not working, like, change it. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results.
So I think it'll be really telling if for whatever reason Dylan Gabriel isn't available this weekend, they start Bevel, which would be fine. But it's going to be really telling if they just let him keep hitting his head against a wall the whole game.
If that happens, then we have kind of a repeat situation of last year where Texas goes all gas, no brakes for 3 quarters instead of 4. And they throw in
General Booty, baby.
Is General Booty going to take off like Caleb Williams did?
I doubt it, because General Booty's a walk-on and not Superman. But
hey, here's the thing.
Hey,
here's the thing.
Was Baker Mayfield.
Here's the thing with that is true. But here's the thing with that game. If Texas does not beat Oklahoma this year, then they
get
won't
rid of the program. Get rid of the program. Just
kill
the program.
Cancel the program. Like, maybe make the basketball team part of your football program, because, like, I don't know what's like that's.
This is the
alarming if they do that.
This is the 3rd year in a row I've told Aiden, if there was a year that Texas should beat Oklahoma, this is the year. 2020 was, we've got a good roster, but Spencer Rattler's a redshirt freshman. Like, we don't know what, and you've got a fifth-year senior in Sam Ehlinger, right? Like, that's the year you should beat Oklahoma. Well, they didn't, right? Last year you've got Spencer Rattler. Our talent is less, but now you've got a more talented Texas team. You've got a new staff that you're proud of, and you've got a new roster you really, really like. And then you go ahead and jump out to 28-7, and you're like, all right, like, this is what Texas is supposed to do in a year like this. And guess what? They shit the bed.
Mm-hmm.
This year, given what Oklahoma's done to date, and given Texas' situation, the way they've played the last couple games compared to Oklahoma, if it's not this year, when is it?
Yeah, no, like like you said, you keep saying this is the year. This truly is the year, because in those 2 other years, Oklahoma had much better teams, and they didn't look pedestrian against teams that they should have probably beaten fairly easily. So, if they come out and they struggle and they lose to Oklahoma, that's just
that says a lot.
It's alarming to do that.
All that to be said, it is Texas OU week, Red River week, excuse me. Who knows what's going to happen, because we don't know. We never do know.
That too. But it's a rivalry.
By the way, James, ever since this happened, we got our tickets for $320 each. Tickets right now in the OU section are under $200.
Is that with or without fees?
On let me see. Right now, there's, by under $200, I mean they're $199. But
with or without fees?
That's with fees.
That's with fees?
That's with fees.
Oh, god damn it.
Bro. We spent so much.
Oh well.
All the cheap seats are in the OU section now. How is this possible? I'm just looking. I'm scrolling down the
TCU makes
list.
that possible. I'll tell you what.
Did injuring Dylan Gabriel just make that?
And so did Kansas State.
Mm-hmm.
And so did Kansas
State.
State.
Is that actually what happened, James? Because now all the cheap seats are in the OU section.
See, here's the thing: the Kansas State loss, we could overcome that. The way OU lost to TCU, that's what causes that kind of thing. Not only did we lose egregiously, our starting quarterback's hurt. By the way, worst hit I've seen in college football this year. And I'm not.
Yeah.
That's not a biased thing. That was a bad
I agree.
Hit.
I don't think. As much as I thought, when I saw the hit, I was like, oh my gosh, like that was dirty. I do agree. I don't think he meant to do that. I don't think he went out there very.
I was watching it, and I think he was trying to dive over.
You want to know was it a concussion helmet to helmet thing?
His shoulder, I think his shoulder pad ended up hitting Dylan in the head, but there was absolute launch.
There was a launch,
and the other thing is, I think he was trying to dive over him. But what it came down to is him launching straight into his head.
Oh, it sounded like LSU defensive player launching at Florida State.
Ali Gay? Okay. That one was egregious. That dude straight
that's the definition of targeting. And speaking of concussions,
was that the FSU game?
That was the FSU game.
Yeah, he straight headbutted.
Like I literally watched that happen. And granted, they ended up scoring on that play anyways, but I literally watched that play, and I'm just like, what are you doing? Are you trying to get arrested? Like if there was a definition for a targeting call, that was it. But that was about 4 weeks ago.
James, if we spend about $60 more, we can sit right on the 50.
I'm not. All my money's going to beer and corn dogs.
Hey, no matter what,
and next week,
no matter what, I will be shaking your hand after the game. And if OU does lose, I will buy you a beer and whatever you want.
Oh, you will be
because you bought beers last year.
You'd be so pissed off
did.
after
Last
that
year
game.
was even worse because of the way we lost, and then Aggie beats Bama. That was I literally
That's the same night.
that was in the same
Oh my
night,
God.
and that was
It's the same day
night.
too.
I'm not dramatic, and I shit you not. I am 100% honest when I say this. As soon as I was at a movie, and when I saw that Bama lost to Aggie, I literally just sat there frozen, and I had like soft tears like coming out of my eyes because I was like, "This has just been a very trying day." And then a friend of mine at the time,
Arkansas
and
also
I,
lost that week.
a friend of mine at the time, and I, the next day we were like, "All right, we got to go have some redemption." We saw the Cowboys actually like unleash a can of whoop ass on the Giants at home, so that was good.
So,
Giants.
so other than the obvious quarterback questions for both teams, honestly, for Texas, is Quinn going to play? For Oklahoma, is Dylan Gabriel healthy enough to play? Those are the biggest stories for each team. As far as in-game matchups go, I think the biggest one obviously is Texas's offense versus Oklahoma's defense.
I mean the game changer is Bijan.
Beige.
So that's the obvious one. I've got another player in mind that I think could reap
Worthy?
even more.
No.
I have another player who I think could reap
Worthy?
even more havoc against
Jatavion
Oklahoma.
You're
Sanders.
talking about Worthy?
That's the one.
Jatavion Sanders because he's tall.
You're gonna put a 6'5" tight end up against. Well, say you got Jaden Daniels on. That's a 5'8" corner. Just throw the ball up, and he's either gonna catch it or it's gonna be PI every single time.
Yeah, no, Jatavion is. Jatavion.
I think he's that mismatch that we don't want to see, because you got Bijan's the obvious one. Obviously, Oklahoma's going to try to shut down the run game, and they're going to try to contain Bijan. That's fine. We know everybody knows that follows college football knows that's going to happen or what we're going to try to do. If Texas was smart, Sark would purposely draw up fades, jump balls, routes that put Jatavion in favorable situations.
Yeah.
And they'll be able to convert on it all damn day.
Yeah. Not that this means anything also. This year, OU's in the Crimson and Texas is pulling out the Stormtroopers.
It hasn't meant anything in the last – hasn't meant anything since Kyler Murray's year.
But historically, OU plays better wearing their white jerseys. And historically, Texas plays better wearing their Stormtroopers. Historically.
Good job.
So we'll see. But no, I think you're right. That
to be fair, the last time Texas won, it was the same matchup.
It was, yeah. That arguably was the, if not the best, one of the best Red River games in history.
That was the first Red River game I ever attended, and I'd say it's probably if not my favorite, it's definitely my second favorite sporting event I've ever attended.
Sure.
What's the other one?
Probably the Winter Classic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then World Series Game 3 2010 is also up there. That was the Rangers' first ever World Series against the Giants.
Yeah.
And I went to Game 3. That was the only game they won that year.
Colby.
That was a great Giants team.
That
was a great Giants
team.
So
those three are like my favorite events I've ever gone to. But dude, just the energy in the Cotton Bowl that year with Kyler Murray, it was something I've never experienced before, because you've got Oklahoma, who came out pretty hot and were leading for a bit, and then Texas came back and started leading for a little while, and you think they're going to win, and the energy's sucked out of our end and on their end, and then you got Kyler Murray decide, I'm going to be Kyler Murray and bring them back in the span of 8 minutes, crawl back 3 touchdowns, and you're like, holy shit, all the energy's on our side again, and then it just deflates when they kick the field goal. But it's one of those things where it's like, yes, I'm not happy that we lost, but the amount of energy that just went through me for 4 hours, like, it was a good feeling. Like there's nothing like it. And it's one of those things where you've got neutral field games, right? You've got Florida, Georgia, you've got all that kind of stuff. You got the home and homes, right? Iron Bowl, whatever. A&M Arkansas, right? This is the only game in the U.S. where you split it at the 50, and you truly have to go in enemy territory.
Yeah,
it's the most unique, and this is definitely a biased statement, but
I agree with it
100%. This is the most unique experience in college football because of how it's divided. And if you get a competitive game that's going back and forth, the amount of energy shift you go through in the game and in the stadium, it's absolutely incredible, and I highly recommend. So
agree.
Yeah, 100%. No, it's one of those things that it may be a while before I go, but like you can't beat
without quickly like tickets are dropping. You should join us.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you can sit in our section now for $289. We paid $321 each.
Unfortunately, I worked that day, but
you mean fortunately for you?
Yeah, fortunately or unfortunately, but I think that those there are some atmospheres that are just incredible, and they just elevate that game, and obviously you have to have a great game on top of that. Like some of the I haven't been to a lot of those big time games, but like as far as like just atmosphere goes, I'm not even going to talk about college. I'm going to talk about some of the best high school games I've ever been to, and that was a game that Aiden and I went to, and that was the Highland Park Manville game. I mean, the atmosphere was incredible, and I mean that game was one of the greatest football games, not just high school, college, whatever. That was one of the greatest football games I've ever seen. But I mean that's what separates, to me, college and even high school football from the NFL, is that passion, that energy, that the traditions on all of that stuff is just unbelievable whenever you talk about those levels of competition in football.
So we've been going on about an hour and a half now. I think we should start wrapping it up. Last thing, OU Texas. What's your score prediction for the game?
Man, that is a tough question. I think
I can go first if you'd like me to.
I think just based on the way Texas has played this season and the past two games that we've seen from OU, and we don't know what's going on with Dillon Gabriel right now, my bet would be 45-24 Texas.
I don't disagree. And I've really got to break the predictions down into two different ones.
Yeah,
with DG and without DG.
Yeah, I should have done mine's without DG.
With DG, I say this not relentlessly, reluctantly. I want to say 48-42 Oklahoma. I say this reluctantly. It's one of those games that if you've got your quarterback with you, the team has to rally if they're going to save the season, and it's now. If they don't rally this game, especially when you've got your starting quarterback, it's going to go downhill from here. It does not get easier. We still got Kansas, we still got Baylor, we still got Oklahoma State, we still got Iowa State. The season doesn't get easier from here, so it's either now or never. That said, if we don't have Dillon Gabriel, it's going to be like 60-10. Texas.
What?
Yeah.
That ridiculous, huh?
We won't even hit 20 if we don't have Dillon Gabriel. Fact.
So DG is that big of a difference?
Just to, like, when I say, hey, my expectation, yeah, 100%. And so when I say my expectations aren't very high going into this week, I mean it. I'm fully going to the fair. I'm going for the game experience. I'm not looking forward to sitting in the Texas section again because Texas fans are going to be unbelievably obnoxious if and or when they win.
I will protect you.
I'm not worried about myself like physically. I'm just I don't want to deal with them. They're going to be annoying.
You get to deal with me, and I'm kidding, James.
As some fan bases,
I will not. I will
as some
not.
people,
Right.
I like to think we've been nothing but respectable during the rivalry, and I'd like to keep that going.
Were you not paying attention to the game last year and how annoying Texas fans were when they got up?
Ooh.
I mean, no.
Oh, that's right, because you were one of them.
Yeah.
And then
I don't know why you say
you're
Caleb freaking Williams.
Have you seen that? Have you seen that TikTok video?
Which one?
It's the dude with the graph, and on the y-axis it's fuck around, and on the x-axis it's find out. And it ends with, as you can see by the graph, the more you fuck around, the more you find out. And guess what?
I agree with that.
Fucking around, and you found the fuck out.
So that's why Arkansas lost to A&M. I'm kidding, Chris.
So yeah,
you're welcome. You're welcome.
It's gonna be a fun weekend. I'm gonna fully get drunk and enjoy myself on fair food. I'm definitely going to be more drunk going into this game than last year. I'm gonna need it, but it's gonna be a lot of fun every year, like it is. And the weather this year is supposed to be incredible. I think the high is like 80.
Yeah, versus last year.
It's gonna be awesome. So I'm excited. I think that's all that needs to be said, regardless. Well, that was episode 4 of Going the JC Route podcast. We had a lot of fun. Red River this week's going to be fun. Well, I can't really say the same about Arkansas. They haven't had fun in a couple weeks.
Please, Arkansas, just get a win. Just win one of these games.
This week is definitely the witching hour for a lot of teams, and it's going to tell a lot about what happens the second half of the season. But I guess we'll find out when we get there. This was your host, JC. Those are the boys.
Hot take.
AJ, you got a hot take before I close it out? What's your hot take?
Yeah, I do. I'm going back to what Chris said earlier because he called me out for my opinion. I could not disagree more. If Cooper Rush wins this weekend, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They're going to keep playing Cooper Rush until something egregious happens. And if it does,
your hot take is cold.
No, they are not.
Your hot take
I agree. I agree with Skip. I agree with Skip Bayless on this when he said a scale from 1 to 10.
Nobody agrees with Skip Bayless.
I'm done. That's enough. That's enough.
I'm done. I'm done. I'm not. I know anybody who agrees with Skip Bayless. Nah, we're good.
That's enough. I had to mute him.
I have been okay. Hold on.
Anyone that says they agree with Skip Bayless needs to shut up.
Hold on.
Yeah, I'm just gonna. Yeah, that's enough.
This isn't what he has to. I want it. This is. What do you want?
He did say this, that in terms of a quarterback controversy, if this keeps happening with Cooper Rush on a scale of 1 to 10, between the quarterback competition, 10 being immense, it's going to be a 9. And I agree with that. I agree with that. He's done his job. He's looking good. That's my hot take. Cooper Rush, if he wins this, he will be the starter.
Dak Prescott will be back as soon as he's healthy. If he shows that he is not capable of winning because he's still injured or he has mental issues, then they're going to put Cooper Rush back in. But as soon as Dak Prescott gets back and he's healthy, he's going to be, As soon as Dak Prescott gets back and he's healthy, are you serious? Shut up. As soon as Dak Prescott is healthy, he's going to get back into that starting lineup. Because that's what he's paid to do. If he shows that he is not capable of winning, and they have no other choice but to start Cooper Rush, then they will do that. But like they have to show him, and by show him, he has to go out to a football to one of the games that's coming up and look really bad. And we'll see how bad he looks or how good he looks whenever he comes back.
No,
I guess we'll find out.
We will.
I'm tired of looking at you. I'm putting you in timeout.
What do you think?
Finally, that's. I don't know. We'll see. I just if they don't play Dak this week, they shouldn't play him next week. he's going to come back at some point.
I do agree with that.
I
think the best case scenario would be to have him come back for the Lions game whenever you have a defense that's not that good, and especially I don't know where that game is at, but it's not going to be nearly as hostile as whenever you play at Lincoln Financial, where they want to see his head get taken off. So I do think he's going to be back. But anyways, go Hogs! The basketball team is going to be pretty good. Hopefully, they beat Oklahoma this year. I'm out.
I'm gonna let you say it. I'm gonna let you say it. Say it.
Say what?
So we can get out of here. Just say it.
Say what? James, I will shake your hand now. Good luck this weekend. You're gonna need it. This is it. Golden Hat's coming back to Texas where it belongs. And those Sooners are gonna need a lot of tissues on the ride back to Oklahoma.
I'm out.
Oklahoma.
That's enough. Thank you again for watching. This is episode 4. A lot of things are going to be determined in the next couple weeks. We'll see you again next week. Until next time, like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you later.
Man, he didn't even do anything for the Sooners.
Boomer Sooner.
Ah, there we go.